Turf Queensland has recently been involved in a project surrounding investigation into the benefits of fertigation use in turf production. The process of fertigation involves applying fertiliser or chemicals in a liquid form to turf grass directly via the irrigation system. The objective of this process is a reduction in mechanical tractor operations, saving fuel, wear and tear, and of course labour, that results in improved efficiencies and reduced cost. While fertigation is used by a number of industries, and even though there are a small number of turf producers utilising fertigation, it is not widely used due to the lack of understanding of the benefits this process can provide. Initially though, it is important that the turf farmer has undertaken assessments of his pumping system to ensure the pumps are operating at its most efficient power curve, and the irrigation system process is operating efficiently to ensure distribution uniformity through the supply nozzles. Secondly, it is of value to have undertaken an EM38 soil map and, if possible, NDVI crop mapping across the farm. This immediately indicates to the turf farmer the areas for soil testing that are deficient in either water or fertiliser, allowing them to apply farm management techniques to improve their yield and a reduction in waste resulting in increased returns. Soil and water tests need to be undertaken on an annual basis across the farm, not just in one place and forgotten. The mapping process will assist in identifying the areas for these tests and support fertigation. It is suggested that the fertiliser company selected by the turf farmer as their partner should undertake the soil and water tests to allow them to identify the correct fertiliser in conjunction with the turf producer partner at a later stage. Once this is done and the soil needs have been identified, the fertiliser company partner can then develop up a fertigation regime to improve the farm's output based on the inputs from the various assessments and tests, again in conjunction with the turf producer. The fertiliser company will have an excellent idea of what is needed in the soluble fertiliser mix to maximise yield on the specific farm. The fertiliser could be in granular, soluble or liquid form depending upon the farm requirements and the specification decided upon from the fertiliser supply partner. Benefit and cost are relevant here and must be checked by the turf producer. Some fertiliser mixes are designed to suit the specific farm desired outcome and will come in soluble form. However, some also could be granular. Obviously, to be utilised with fertigation, it has to be soluble and maybe mixing and agitating is needed. Granular fertilisers will more than likely work out to be the most cost effective. However, the labour of mixing and the time involved for the appropriate fertiliser needs to be undertaken into account on the cost. Soluble and liquid fertilisers come in a shuttle ready for use and are applied direct to the plant. There are a couple of questions that are asked frequently by turf producers surrounding fertigation, such as, will the fertiliser used rust out the main water supply line on the irrigator and depends upon the amount of fertiliser being supplied to the irrigator? It is believed that only 1.5% fertiliser is used in relation to 98.5% water, and provided the appropriate flushing process is undertaken, should not be a problem. 2. If fertiliser is supplied via the irrigator through fertigation, will this not mean that fertiliser is placed on the ground across the whole farm, even in places that is not needed? This is usually the process anyway, and other forms of irrigation applications, and only really can change with the implementation of another process called variable rate irrigation or VRI programs. These main questions need to be answered by the fertiliser company partner and the fertigation equipment supplier to the satisfaction of the turf producer. Notwithstanding these questions, and as a result of the pilot programs under the Rural Water Use Efficiency Irrigation Futures program, 3 of the 4 pilot farms believe fertigation to be of value and many others utilising this process.